Hey guys, KallTorak here. Today I am bringing you my Wind Dancer Reflect build. Once again, I am trying to clear as much content as possible using a Reflect skill. Wind Dancer has some pretty interesting interactions that make this really strong. Wind Dancer has the attack Gale Force attached to it. When being struck by a melee hit, you will consume your stacks of Wind Dancer. This will trigger Gale Force to do damage and knock back enemies around you. Gale Force is an attack, which means it works with Herald of Ice. A lot of you are probably already familiar with Herald of Ice cheese, but when pairing it with the Pulsarkelm Sapphire Ring, you're able to blow up entire screens with Gale Force. This is far from optimized, and that's the main reason I'm making this video right now. There are some interesting interactions here that I'm not fully understanding, so hopefully with some insight I can refine this build and get my Wind Dancer damage even higher. Gale Force seems to be scaling heavily off of my weapons, specifically when dual wielding. At first I was trying to get this style with Resonating Shield, but dual wielding really amps the damage of this ability. You're able to get +5 melee skills on both your one-handers, but mainly Gale Force is doing most of its damage through crit. I learned about this interaction from a creator named Rutu. One of my viewers recommended I check out his Bloodmage Hammer of the Gods build. I'll have a link to the video below if you're interested in a Mace Strike Hammer of the Gods. There he is dual wielding War Picks, which has base crit damage bonus. What's interesting is it seems the offhand might be scaling its crit multi off of your main hand. I've tried many different stat types on War Picks with a variety of results, so I'm not sure what the best way to scale this damage to the fullest would be. But right now it's a combo of both physical and elemental damage. A big boost was getting added damage to attacks where I could. These gloves alone add 7,000 damage to my Gale Force. I'm already able to 1-2 shot most Waystone 15 bosses, but it does have the potential to get a lot better with some optimization. Bloodmage feels incredible for this. Gorespite providing us with extra crit damage multi combined with the baseline tankiness of Bloodmage lets us invest almost all of our passives into damage. The best part about this build out of all of my Reflect builds is it's the one that feels the most viable. In these clips, you're seeing me kill purely with Reflect, but if you use Mace Strike alongside this, you're able to deal with any annoying bosses or rare types that will never melee strike you. Okay, so this isn't going to be like a full-on guide. I'm going to go over all the important stuff, but a lot of this is just like, hey, I'm confused by some interactions. I don't know how to push this a little bit further. So yeah, this is Gale Force. It's doing 42,000 damage per use. A lot of it is a mix of elemental and physical damage. Right now it's mostly elemental damage. As you can see, it's like 2,300 from cold here, 1,700 from cold here. It just happens to be how my gear has been scaled to right now. I think it doesn't matter what it ends up, as long it just depends on your gear. The interesting stuff here though is the crit damage bonus. I'm not sure how this is interacting with Gale Force. Right now you see my main hand has 900% and my offhand has 4,500%. That's a lot. But is Gale Force actually benefiting from all of this crit multi? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to accurately test that. Everything dies in one shot, and then it dies in one shot when I try testing other stuff. So it's just, I'm not sure. Is it combining the two of them, or is it only using the 923? Is it alternating between the two? I'm not sure how that interaction works. I just thought it was super interesting, and I don't know, the more I scale crit, the better it gets. So it's working well, to say the least. Now I do have a 5-link with Wind Dancer. I'm using Cold Infusion, since a lot of my damage is cold. Primal Armament, since a lot of my damage is weapon damage, or elemental damage. Ambush, for the more critical hit chance on full life enemies. Super Critical for the more critical bonus. And Conduction for the shock chance. I wasn't using Conduction before I had a 5-link. I only recently started using that with Herald of Thunder. Before I was using Grim Feast just as an extra defensive layer to protect my life pool. Since we're Bloodmage, you want as much life as possible for the extra critical hit bonus. Critical damage bonus. So Grim Feast was like a layer of energy shield that was constantly healing me with Grim Feast and then like protecting that life pool. So I was always at like double my HP with Grim Feast. But now I'm going for the more damage with Herald of Thunder. But yeah, Wind Dancer, those are the support gems. Herald of Ice, I've got Cold Mastery, Cold Penetration, Long Shot, and Magnified Effect. And then Herald of Thunder, I have Innervate, Elemental Focus, Culling Strike, and Execute. This is my first time doing a Herald build. I'm sure there's better support gems for these as well, so if you have any recommendations, hit me up in the comments. And then I just use Leap Slam with Unbreakable for a little bit of mobility when I need it. And yeah, it is going really well. Wind Dancer does scale well off of skill gem levels. I do have a +3 Wind Dancer Prism, and it adds a significant amount of damage to Wind Dancer, so it does matter quite a bit. Let's take a look at the gear. So I want to talk about war picks first. I've tried, this is not all the war picks I've tried. I've probably got double or maybe even triple this amount that I've tested out. I've tried a lot of different combinations of added damage, increased physical damage, increased elemental damage, in skill gem levels. I am not sure what's still, after all I've tested, what's actually best, just because it's like hard to test those interactions. But melee skills is important. You need +5 on both. That gets you +10. And then, because I have a low strength, and I'm not a super attribute stacker, I have to have reduced attribute requirements on my war picks. Right now, you can see these are 212 ones in my bag. These were from when I was testing more passives into attributes. So I can't even equip these anymore. But what I found, yeah, it's really just getting as much crit damage bonus baseline on the war pick, making it sure you can wear it, and then as much damage as possible. So like I have this one that has like 43% increased elemental damage with attacks. It does quite a bit of DPS. This one doesn't have 43% elemental damage with attacks. I have one in my stash that does, and like the damage drop off is like, it's not even comparable. You know, it's yeah, I don't know what's the best stat to prio for war picks. I've tried so many different ones. So if you have insights on what you think would be best, is it just raw elemental damage? Is it just raw physical damage? Is it a combination of like as much DPS as possible mixed with like the added effects? I'm not quite sure. Only other piece that's required really is the Sapphire Ring. Enemies chilled by your hits can be shattered. That's what's causing the explosions from Herald of Ice. These gloves are huge. If you see here, +2 melee skills plus all the added damage to attacks. If you take a look at my Wind Dancer, it's at 42,000. I take it off, it goes down to 31,000. It's 11k damage from these gloves. So that's why I also have the added fire damage to attacks and the added cold damage to attacks on my rings. Now, it's possible that like if you could just do pure added physical damage, pure added cold damage, that might be the play. Because we have so many physical damage passives that I've taken from the tree, I'm not sure. That's really what I'm making this video for, is because I have no idea what's the best way to optimize the damage. For my Moriors, I'm using max life and elemental resistances because I have so much like added damage to attacks and stuff on gear. My resistance is super low, and then the max life increase is to help just get more crit damage bonus out. And of course, I bought this Ingenuity belt in my last video, so now I'm obviously going to keep using it on my other builds. And this is just, of course, increasing my cold damage done, and of course, all the bonuses from this ring here. I do think the Energy Shield helps, especially if you decide to not run Herald of Thunder. It's just a defensive barrier that keeps your max life as much as possible, but yeah. Really, it's about just getting as much health as possible so you don't get one-shot too often. Let's take a look at the passive tree. It was really just about maximizing physical damage and crit. So we path over here, we get these crit bonus nodes, 36 more damage after you deal a crit. More crit bonus, bunch of crit stuff here. I think like this is like one of the best crit spots in the game. Like there's just so much good crit here. It's why I think Warrior struggles a lot with crit, because like it's such a like you're pathing from all the way over here, and then you gotta like stag by this point, and then eventually end up over here. Bloodmage is really just built for crit builds, man. It's just such a good position for it. Crit bonus and then physical damage. It is doing a good amount of physical damage. If I had like a pure elemental damage version, then you would potentially be able to drop all of these physical damage nodes, and you know there's a bunch of elemental damage stuff here. Maybe that's the right play. Let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, it's just taking more physical damage, attack damage when on full life. There's 30% more damage here. crit damage bonus, physical damage, crit damage bonus. 50% increased critical hit chance against enemies that are full life. This is huge. It just makes... It feels like you're critting almost always. I don't know what exactly my crit hit is at right now, but when you take into like all these 100% modifiers, like I have the one on Ambush, it feels like I'm almost always critting. I don't think I'm at 100%, but I'm sure it's pretty high. Since I'm using 2 Heralds, I figured these Heralds nodes would be good. This is another crit cluster that's insane. Attacks have 1% critical hit chance, 25% critical hit chance, 35% increased critical damage bonus. Over here, just more attack damage. Had to come all the way down here. This is what makes it possible for me to wear all these skill gems with my gear. At one point, I was taking these nodes and these nodes, which I kind of miss. They were, a lot more area effect and damage, but they definitely did not feel required. And then, of course, a more critical hit chance for attacks. All 3 of these, I believe, are attacks. Wind Dancer, Herald of Ice, and Herald of Thunder. Yeah, they're all attacks. So that's the passive tree. I was trying out Blood Barbs at one point for the extra physical damage, but I was getting, even with my Moriars not having a lot of energy shield, it was still a big boost. It was worth it. So sorry that this little so let's talk about my gems. So my gems, I'm getting right now critical damage bonus and damage taken recouped as life, just for the extra survivability. I'm not sure what's the best for skill gems. I also have that one needs to be changed out soon. I also have, I think I have 3 of them. Where are they? There they are, yeah. The Grand Spectrums. I have 3 of the 2% increased maximum life Grand Spectrums, just for more max life. Again, I'm getting crit damage bonus from that. And then, where is it? Yes, my Wind Dancer plus 3 Prism of Belief. So yeah, I think that's everything. I'm not sure how to push this further. Obviously, I think it would be, if like you could drop all of these physical damage nodes. Obviously, you want to keep the attack damage ones, but the physical damage ones, if you're doing a more elemental focused build, that might be an option. I'm not sure. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. But yeah, that's the build. Let me know what you guys think. I really like this build because it actually does a lot of single target damage with Make Strike. This fixes a lot of problems I have with Reflect builds right now, just because there are so many design bosses or mob types that just don't Reflect. I'm sure with time, GGG will add on support skills or ascendancies that make certain Reflect abilities interact better, but for now, there's really not many solutions. So because Mace Strike is just so powerful and can clean up those situations, I feel like when this build gets optimized with better survivability and better, no gear being wasted, this build has potential to be one of the better Reflect builds, because Mace Strike is just going to clean up all of those really annoying problems you have. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Apologies to Darth Microtransaction. We once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.